What's up, guys? Matt from Team Shenanigans here with the deck profile. This is my list, actually card for card, the list I used to win the ARG North Carolina State Championship. I actually went with Great Nature, which I thought was pretty awesome. It's been my main clan since it released in set 7, so it was nice to finally actually really get a win under my belt with it, even though it's been a great deck since the beginning. So, great deck, Great Nature. All right. Here we go. My starter, I was using the new starter from set GBTO2. It's Pencil Koala. When you're at GB1, it boosts an attack that hits Vanguard. Choose a rear guard, 4,000 power. During the end phase, draw and retire it. So most turns, you're going to be retiring something anyway. So you just stack a little bit of extra power on that and get an extra draw. It's really simple, provides a lot of on-hit pressure for the Vanguard since only one of our strides is on-hit anyway. So this little guy, just that little threat, can stop a lot of people from just kind of letting your attacks go through. It wastes a lot of shield. So as for my triggers, went 4 heal, Broadcast Rabbit, because I've never really liked Dictionary Goat. I've been waiting for a new heal since Great Nature got released, and I finally got one. As for the rest of the triggers, a whole lot of yellow. 12 crit. The thing is, I don't know, I didn't trust... Stands make for really weird attack patterns. Because of the strides abilities, a lot of the strides you want to attack with first to get that extra power, to get the extra abilities off. So if you attack with your rear guard first, you're missing out on sometimes a stage of power, something like that. So I really like crits. Draws sometimes will just straight up deck you out, the amount of draw power this deck has. So I went with crits. Obviously, one of them was going to be Ruler Chameleon because just in case you needed to use his ability, add another card to hand. It's pretty nice. Lets you get a booster without wasting any shield. So the next card, my grade 1s, I used the new Perfect Guard. The reason I used this one, I wasn't really worried about a lot of Kagero at the tournament. There wasn't really a whole lot of I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff out for him that I really felt was that much of a threat. And stop coming up to my face.
I love your face.
Yeah. Okay. I used this guy because I wasn't worried about Kagero. I wasn't really worried about people going for my rear guards, even though I knew Crayon Tiger would be a big attack target. I also knew that this deck has a tendency to use a lot of counterblasts, so even though I wasn't worried about running out of counterblasts, I still thought I should have these just as extra protection. Next, I had my 4 copies of the Stride Enabler, Mini Belly. I never used his first skill. I never would. The problem is that Big Belly, although he is in this deck, is never the grade 3 you want to ride at the start of the game. Leopold is your grade 3 ride. If you ride Big Belly, I have cards in the deck to try and make up for being on him, but he is just so lackluster compared to Leopold. So this is purely there for its stride ability. Being able to discard just one grade 1 for stride is amazing. Next up we have 4 Duckbill. 4 Duckbill is probably going to be a staple in this clan forever. Just forever. Like, there's no reason not to run this card. As long as there's something in the deck that retires, Duckbill is going to be amazing. Essentially, he gets you your booster without losing out on a single card. My last 2 slots for grade 1, I had Label Pangolin in there. Because it goes back to why I chose the new Perfect Guard. I was a little bit worried about counterblasts, so I threw Pangolin in there. I also considered the Limit Break Enabler because I'm running Leopold. But ultimately I went with Pangolin, and that was a bad decision. Even though this deck performed amazingly, I didn't get Pangolin's skill off once, all day. I either needed to call him too early for his skill to go off as a booster, or by the time I did call him, I was so established with my field that I really wasn't worried about the counterblasts. I've now switched him out for I have him around here somewhere, but he is hiding right now. I switched him up for Silver Wolf, the 8K vanilla. The reasoning behind that is behind a 9K, with that one 4K boost from any of my skills, that becomes a 21K column. So that's a whole lot better, especially, you can go first, you ride the 8K. That allows for a whole lot easier guarding. Lets you get rushed less. Grade 2s for Crayon Tiger. This card's amazing. This card is probably the best singular card in Great Nature right now. It's really funny because when they were getting ready to reveal Great Nature's Amber Clone, people weren't completely sure what it was going to do. Plus 4,000 seemed really weak since Nova Grappler's already had stand and plus 5,000. Plus 4,000 on a draw and retire still seemed kind of weak, but we weren't sure really what else it could do. Turns out it could do a whole lot more. It can stand. This card is a guarantee. As long as you have a booster on the field and a counterblast, you're guaranteed an extra attack. And that extra attack nets you a draw. This card, no matter what deck you're running, it doesn't matter, is amazing. Are you on Big Belly and you showed into Mana Garmer? Awesome. That's one more attack that is going to be strong enough to proc Mana Garmer's skill. If you're running Chat Noir, that's an extra 4,000 power and draw on top of his already 4,000 power stand and draw on your break ride turn. An extra attack is amazing. It's so good, especially with the amount of power you can stack on one rear guard. Crayon Tiger is just, it's stupid. It's stupid how good that card is. My next grade 2, I have 4 copies of Capable Assistant Guru Wolf. This card is there for the on-hit pressure, the extra pressure with Crayon Tiger. Restanding him is pure stupidity. If he's at 20,000 power when he hits the opponent's Vanguard, draw for free. Doesn't matter how you got that power, doesn't matter if it was triggers, he doesn't even have to retire during the end phase. He hits, draw. So you can, with 7K behind him, 4,000 power boost, 20,000 right there. It essentially tells your opponent you have to block this attack. And the higher and higher the power is, the more and more shield they have to use up. If they don't, awesome. Even though they didn't use up shield, you got a free card. The last grade 2, one I'm running 3 of, is Set Square Penguin. This is probably the reason that Pangolin was so completely useless. Set Square Penguin is Duckbill on steroids with the GB1 requirement. Not only do you get the draw when something dies, you also get an unflip. So you've got stupid amounts of unflip in this deck, which is Pangolin just was ridiculously redundant. But this card right here, I've been wanting to be able to run more Duckbills in my deck since Duckbill came out. Only running 4, that's a massive nerf. Put him at, give him, production sailor, mass production sailor. Give him that skill. Let me run 16. I'll do it. Set Square Penguin is purely there for the extra power, the staying power. You play him on the field, you use up a card from hand, you're going to get it back during the end phase, plus an unflip. That's one more time you can use Leopold's Limit Break, one more time you can use Crayon Tiger. It just facilitates so many good things. Here we have my main grade 3, School Hunter Leopold. I love this card. Ever since Set 7, this has been one of my favorite cards in the clan. I love its art, I love its skill. It's a very simple card that does just so much. Unfortunately, his regular non-limit break auto skill isn't really that useful anymore when he attacks plus 4,000, kill whatever he targets during the end phase, because you're not going to be on him during the battle phase anymore. You're going to be on one of your strides, but it doesn't matter because it's his limit break that makes him amazing. Because of the fact that you unstride before anything else during the end phase, his limit break 4 can go off after something retires, even if you'd been on a stride that turn. Whatever you targeted with Leopold Chaser, if you targeted something with any other skill that's going to retire it, Crayon Tiger, it doesn't matter. Counterblast 1 during the end phase, not only have you drawn more cards, searched out more cards, and added them to your hand, you're not going to lose that card that you fielded. The other, his backup, I wasn't sure at first what to run as backup to Leopold. And at first I was running the Fox Legion. And the Fox Legion is great. It's got that good 20,000 base power. It has a lot of skills that can go off if you retire itself or the mate. But ultimately, I found that it was pretty bad because you want to be on Leopold almost all the time. And when you're on Leopold, that grade 2 is useless. It's a grade 2 vanilla. So I wanted to go with something else. I thought about Leopold Reverse, and Leopold Reverse might be good during your main phase. If you didn't get to stride that turn, you're at limit break, you can still do some fun shenanigans with his locking skills, boosting stuff up. But I decided, ultimately, he doesn't have any good skills during the end phase when you unstride. You can't lock Crayon Tiger's booster for anything because, Crayon Tiger needs a booster for its skill. So that's one less target you have on the field for Leopold Reverse. Ultimately, and I'm glad I made this decision, I decided to go with Big Belly. Big Belly is a great backup card. I remember seeing a whole lot of hype around Big Belly when stuff first got revealed, and I was on that hype train at first until I really started trying him out. Big Belly, unfortunately, cannot stand up on his own. He needs something to help him. So I decided that he'd be a great backup for Leopold. If you're on him, there are things you can do to get some card advantage and stuff. It's not the end of the world. But I ran Big Belly because I thought, you know what, sometimes maybe I'll have the right cards in hand. I can go for an in-game Mana Garmer push. That actually happened in the very last game of the tournament against Ryan Buck, amazing player who was using Shadow Paladins. My final hand, I had a full field other than one empty grade, front row rear guard spot. I had a Big Belly in hand, was on Leopold, and a Crayon Tiger in hand. Already had another Crayon Tiger on the field. And I was like, alright, I'll stride into Mana Garmer here. It won't be the strongest columns, but maybe it'll be enough to finish this. And then I top-decked Mini Belly. I was like, okay, we're in business. So I ride Big Belly, stride using Mini Belly into Mana Garmer, and just the stupidness that occurred. I don't know if, most of you are aware of this combo. Once you know about it, it's not anything crazy. But Crayon Tiger can actually, if a booster stands in the middle of combat, the boost is still applied to the unit in front of it. So if you have two boosted Crayon Tigers on your field, you can attack with the first one, counterblast one, stand its booster. You have that column there. Then, you can attack with the second Crayon Tiger column, stand the first Crayon Tiger, and you have another full column to swing with. Well, that's exactly what I did in the last turn of that tournament. Big Belly, stride into Mana Garmer, get that extra 4,000 on each column. Because the problem with Mana Garmer is that he can only get columns up plus 4,000. So most of the time you're only getting them to 20,000. Your opponent only being able to guard with size zeros, grade zeros, is, if they're on 11k, all they need is a 10k. That doesn't really change the amount of shield you need to guard. So Big Belly really makes that Mana Garmer play hit home. Now we're off to my G deck. First I had 4 copies of Leopold Chaser. Now I think that this might have been a little bit much, but Leopold Chaser is an amazing card. On paper he just kind of looks... A lot of people dismissed him. I haven't seen a whole lot of talk about Leopold, and I don't know why. Because Leopold Chaser is, in my opinion, what Great Nature is about. Great Nature has always been about getting consistent advantage and power gains. And Leopold Chaser is the definition of consistency. Whatever you put on the field to target with his skill, you get a copy of it back as long as you have one in the deck. You get that 4,000 power. You get that retire to set off skills like Duckbill and Set Square Penguin. This guy does everything that you could want. And there's a whole lot of people that are just like, well, it's just the one card. If you use Big Belly, you can get multiple draws. And that's true, if they let you hit. Leopold Chaser has no problems with that kind of stuff. And the great thing is, there are a lot of important cards you could have in your hand that you don't want to lose. If you have a Perfect Guard in your hand, if you have Mini Belly that you want to use to stride the next turn, call them. It doesn't matter. Give them the power with Chaser. You're going to get another one back during the end phase. So you can use that card in your hand as a booster you can use a Big Belly or Leopold from your hand as an attacker and not lose the advantage that card could have given you on your opponent's turn on your next turn. And the great thing is that Leopold Chaser combos so well with Leopold. Not only are you going to get that card back, if you're at Limit Break, you're not going to lose that card in the first place. It's so good. There's not a whole lot I can say beyond that other than I love this card. Leopold has been the main boss of Great Nature from the beginning, as himself, as a reversed unit, and now as a stride. And he's just not going anywhere. This card's dumb. As for the rest of the extra deck, the rest of it is centered around Big Belly. I knew some games I was going to be on Big Belly. I was going to have him first. I was not going to see Leopold. That's what the rest of the extra deck is about. Got 2 Mana Armor. This is for your final in-game push. You know, if my opponent is low on cards, they're high on damage, Big Belly into this guy can do some serious damage. Even if you don't have Crayon Tigers, Big Belly into Mana Armor is going to either kill them or waste a whole lot of cards. My other 2 were the other Stride from Fighters Collection. We finally got an on-hit Stride. Unfortunately, it's a little bit worse than a lot of the other on-hit Strides, only because the skill only starts to go off when the Stride hits. Then, to get the draw, you need your rearguard to hit too. So, you know, it gives 4,000 power. If the rearguard hits with 20,000 or more, you draw a card. So, you know, you've got to have the card to stride. You've got to have the full column over on the side to swing. You've got to hope your opponent doesn't guard either of them. It's a little bit but with Big Belly, you are giving, you know, 2 things that 4,000. You are getting probably at least one of Big Belly's draws, especially if you put 4,000 power on your starter. It gives some serious pressure. So early game, if you start striding into this, your opponent's gonna waste a ton of shield. So it's not a whole huge loss. One change I have made to the extra deck since the tournament that's worked out really well for me is I have removed 1 Leopold. Most games I've noticed that, and the card that I replaced it with is hiding around here somewhere. I'm being directed toward it right now, but I'm not sure where. Oh, it's right here. Okay. I replaced it with Phoeniciax. The reasoning for it is that Leopold Chaser is an amazing card, but once you start getting toward the end of the game, you've drawn a lot of cards, you've added cards to hand, you've taken damage, your deck's going to be a whole lot smaller. And unfortunately, sometimes you just don't have another of the exact right card to add to your deck. And that's what's going to happen a lot of the times if you make it to the 4th Leopold Chaser, which I actually found happening in a decent amount of games. So if you're at that point, you don't have the right cards in deck to add to hand, Leopold Chaser just adds 4,000 power, kills something during the end phase. Well, if you're going to be doing that, why not just go into Phoeniciax? You can give 2 things 4,000 power for maybe a little bit more of an in-game push. If you have the counterblast to use Leopold twice, you can just go into Phoeniciax. You can save them both. It just gives you a little bit more flexibility, and it's also because of Big Belly. If you're on Big Belly, you know, a lot of times you don't have a way to kill something if you want to stride. That's Leopold. Mana Armor over here, his skill doesn't kill things. Big Belly's on stride doesn't kill anything. Wisdom Teller's on hit doesn't kill anything. If you want to get off those skills, like Duckbill or Set Square Penguin, and you don't have a Crayon Tiger, you just can't. So if you go into Phoeniciax, that gives you the ability to kill something. During the end phase, something will die. You'll be able to get those draws. You'll be able to get those unflips. It just helps out a lot. It gives a little bit of extra flexibility to both sides of the deck. So that is, you know, that's my deck. I did really well. Really killed bugs. I ran into a couple of bug decks, and man, is Destroyer scary. But, you know, he's a whole lot less scary if you can't draw a bunch of grade 3s or add more grade 3s to your hand. That's what I loved about this card against Machining Destroyer. I can call a grade 3 to the rearguard circle. Oh no, that's a horrible idea against Machining Destroyer. And it is. Don't do it, unless you're guaranteed to add another one to your hand during the end phase. The bugs were a whole lot of fun to play against, actually. There were a lot of Aquaforce. Aquaforce gave me a really good run for my money. I did not play a match against Aquaforce that I did not lose one of the games. Thank you guys for watching my deck profile, Great Nature. I'll be seeing you around.